Booger, booger, booger. Booger, booger, booger. Okay. All right, guys. So I'm just going to talk to you about the way that I've been seeing this year's draft. It's a little different from other drafts because we've seen a lot of players fall off, and then there's a lot of mixed value in the second, third, fourth, fifth rounds. That makes it really, really tough to determine value. And with that said, there's a lot of players that you can pick up that I think are going to be steals, and then there's going to be some players that you think are going to be really good and they're going to disappoint. So I think you should just really stress on getting the guys that you like, but have good reasons for picking them. So Christian McCaffrey is going to go number one for sure. I mean, he had an amazing year, but now he's got the first round, first pick curse. And they used him way, 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 way too much last year. So um, I think there's some statistical point that says that when a player is used to that extent, it's very hard for them to do it again a second year. But it's him, it's Christian McCaffrey. So I mean, I still think he's one of the safest picks in the first round that you could take. I definitely would do it. And then after that, you reach a group of wide receivers that I think there's no correct order to it, honestly. They have CeeDee Lamb because he went on a tear last year where he was like averaging 12 catches a game, and Dak Prescott went crazy. But it's the first time we've seen them click like that. Either way, and he's having some kind of a contract holdout right now. But I really think you can't get any of these picks wrong. All these players are elite. So CeeDee Lamb second. I think Tyreek is fine second or first, whatever you want to pick. Jamar Chase, he's asking for some more contract money. Joe Burrow last year was like a huge injury concern thing. Maybe they changed things a little bit, but he kind of has a little bit of an injury history, Jamar Chase. But I think he's a very safe first round pick. You definitely can take him. He's not going to fall. Justin Jefferson, last year he was the first pick, but Kirk Cousins is gone now, and now it looks like right now, at the current moment, Sam Darnold is the starting quarterback while J.J. McCarthy is improving. So any of these top receivers, I think they're interchangeable. If you think Justin Jefferson's going to have a bad year because Sam Darnold is the quarterback, that's fair. I think he's still going to be heavily targeted. But any of these top five, I feel really good about. Just like that. McCaffrey through Jefferson, they're definitely going to go in that order. After that, things get weird for a couple more picks, and then there's a huge drop off. So, okay. Amon-Ra St. Brown last year was amazing. Very, very, very consistent. Probably one of the most consistent receivers. I had him last year. No regrets about that. And not much really changes in that regard. Same quarterback, same system, everything is the same. So if you want like a very high floor pick, Amon-Ra St. Brown is a very good pick. And Brees Hall right before him. Um, this is very high for Brees Hall, but you're gonna. This is like how running backs are this year. Running backs are very, very hard to value this year. He was a PPR machine, even though they didn't have a quarterback all year, and he looks like that elite running back. He's got that breakaway speed and strength. So, I mean, if you want to take Brees Hall as the first running back, I think that's a good pick. I would take him. If I'm stuck after Amon-Ra St. Brown goes, then I'm gonna start thinking about possibly going running back. Uh, Bijan Robinson. Last year he was a pain in the ass to have because he was in a running back system with Arthur Smith as the head coach, who went to the Steelers to be their running backs head coach. But yeah, they had no quarterback last year, so they never got to the red zone. And Bijan was still a good pick. He was still a solid player, but he had some weeks where he was just a pain in the ass. Now Kirk Cousins is the quarterback in Atlanta, and it looks like Atlanta is going to be a high-powered offense. And if that is the case, if Kirk Cousins just continues to be a little bit above average, Bijan Robinson is going to get a lot of catches. He's probably you could almost say he's safer than Breece Hall, and in PPR he's even better. So Bijan Robinson as the third running back off the board, it's pretty good for a first round pick. AJ Brown, he's an elite wide receiver. The past couple years, he's been really stepping him up. He's in his prime. Jalen Hurts might need to throw more now that Jason Kelsey is retired. Um, and I don't know if they're going to be doing as much tush pushing, but AJ Brown is a freak. He's definitely a first round talent. I wouldn't fault you for taking him earlier than this either. All right, this is when things get a little dicey. After this, you actually got to think. All these other players that went from 1 to 9, I think there's nothing wrong with any of them order wise, as long as you lock them in. So here at 10, we have Puka Nakua. Last year, he was the waiver wire darling. I picked him up in the week 1, and he went off to have one of the best rookie seasons for a wide receiver ever, even though he was like a 5th-round pick. So not a lot of changes with the Rams offense. However, they did lose Aaron Donald, so you know that they're going to have to put up more points in order to win. Cooper Kupp is still there, but he's above 30 years old now, so Puka Nacua is being drafted as if he's going to repeat his last year's numbers or slight downgrade. But this is a little rich for his price. But when you see the players that are surrounding him, I don't think it's a bad pick at all. I mean, what can I say? But I do think he's here because you're chasing last year's numbers. But I mean, he looked legit. If Cooper Kupp goes down, he's just going to do the same thing. I mean, he was averaging, I don't know, 20 points a game. He was ridiculous. Um, and he's got all the intangibles. After that, we have Garrett Wilson on the Jets, and we never truly saw what he can do with a good quarterback. So this year, Aaron Rodgers comes back healthy, and Garrett Wilson is probably one of the most talented wide receivers taken last year in the NFL from that wide receiver group from Ohio State. So I think he's a pretty safe floor pick if Rodgers can stay healthy and they have a good thing going on. I like his price here. I think he could go anywhere in the second round, but yeah, Garrett Wilson is a up and coming receiver, but we haven't seen his true ceiling yet. Saquon went to Philly from the Giants, and that's surprising. Saquon has like some soft tissue injury issues that seem to happen like every other year, but he's on a much better offense now, and he has the threat of a rushing quarterback, which is good and bad for him because they're going to vulture from each other. So I think he's this value right here is pretty safe. I would take him here. Maybe slightly later, but he's not going to stay on the board very long. Saquon is still. We've never seen him on a good offense, so now he's on a great offense. So Saquon at 12, I think that's fine. Jahmyr Gibbs, he was what was he? I think he was the first running back. I'm gonna get this all wrong, but he was a top 2 running back taken last year in the NFL draft, and he definitely. Oh, it was Bijan, then Gibbs. Okay, so Gibbs was very, very, very talented, but David Montgomery is still there in Detroit. That doesn't mean that he doesn't deserve to be a late first, early second round pick. He definitely showed that he's got pass catching chops, that he's athletic, but he still is in a timeshare, and that's how fast the running backs drop off in 2024. Um, if anything happens to David Montgomery, this guy is ridiculously talented. He definitely deserves to go here. And the Detroit Lions are just such a high-powered offense. So Jahmyr Gibbs, second-year running back, I think the second round is just brutal in my opinion. I think it's very hard to like tell apart the value on these players. All right, and Jonathan Taylor, uh, I don't know why I like just can't get into Jonathan Taylor, but the Colts, if you know that they have Anthony Richardson now, the UF quarterback. Last year was his rookie year, and while Anthony Richardson was healthy, the Colts looked ridiculous, and Anthony Richardson was, I don't know, he was going to be like the number 1 quarterback for a little while because he can rush. That hurts Jonathan Taylor because they're going to be like a rush first offense, and I mean Jonathan Taylor, he's very talented, but he has had some injury problems. Um, but he's definitely a second round pick. He deserves to go right here. Kyron Williams. Kyron Williams surprised everyone last year. Last year, if you got Puka Nakua or Kyron Williams off waivers, you went to the playoffs. Maybe you won. All right. Kyron Williams, he just took off last year. He was having like 200-yard games. He was doing crazy shit. Multiple touchdown games. The Rams signed Blake Corum from Michigan. It's you don't know if they're going to start splitting, but they're definitely going to make him a change of pace guy. Kyron Williams does have some injury concerns behind him, but after what he did last year, I mean, he looked like he was the second best or best running back in fantasy. So if you think that's going to continue, you're going to take him in the second round. Devontae Adams, he's older now. Last year, I had concerns about taking him, and they were warranted because he definitely fell off a little bit. Um, let me see. And he's still on the Raiders. And the Raiders, I think they're like using Aiden O'Connell or something. They don't have a good quarterback, and Devontae Adams isn't any younger. So I mean, I don't really. This is one guy that I'm going to skip over personally. Yeah, Devonte Adams in the second. I see him more as like a third round pick, but I'll let someone else take him there. And you can notice no quarterbacks have gone yet in this ADP. Marvin Harrison Jr., the first wide receiver taken in this year's draft, he's going to the Cardinals, and it looks like the offense is going to go through him. There's no more Marquise Brown on the Cardinals. He went to the Chiefs. So it's going to be Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride, the tight end. And if this offense is decent, Marvin Harrison is going to have a ridiculous year and deserves to be a second round pick as far because of his talent. He's one of these probably the greatest wide receiver prospect in a couple of years. So if Kyler Murray can put it together, then this guy won't let you down. But it is a rookie. He hasn't been in the NFL yet, so you don't know what you're getting. Chris Olave, he was a letdown last year. The New Orleans offense, the Saints, they don't know how to get it together yet. It's still like not a powerful offense. It's low scoring, and Chris Olave did not have a lot of touchdowns last year. He is the best receiver on that team, no question, but the offense sucks, and he wasn't getting a lot of opportunities for big plays. So he's kind of in that same boat with Devonte Adams. Could he do better? 100% he could do better, but as of right now, this offense still is bad, even with him in it. So I would pump the brakes on him. Maybe he should go a little later, early third, very late second. I don't know, but I don't like him here. Derrick Henry went to Baltimore. No matter what happens, no matter how old he gets, he's getting better and better. Now he goes to Baltimore, and I mean, you're pretty much drafting him for touchdowns. They're just going to get to the red zone and punch it in 100 times. So, this guy, you're picking him because you think he's going to get 12, 13, 14 rushing touchdowns easy. And, I mean, I don't know about the volume anymore. He's on a rushing offense, and he's not going to catch a lot of balls, but he's still Derrick Henry, and now he's on an offense that's going to get to the goal line very often. And I don't want to say he's a safe pick, but as far as his touchdown floor is concerned, that's why his appeal is still in the second round. Travis Etienne, he's a strange player. For some part of last year, he looked like he was the best running back, and then he just fell off a cliff. And this Jacksonville offense is just very unpredictable. Um, but he's still an elite talent at this position, and he deserves a shot. Um, I think he deserves to go here. So if you picked a wide receiver in the first round and you need a second round running back, I think this little group right here of Etienne, Pacheco, there really isn't so many guys that you can feel great about, and that's just how this running back position is now. Now you just take your receivers, feel good about them, sprinkle in some running backs, and hope they work out because you cannot make running back like the heart and soul of your team on purpose, because then you're going to suck at receiver, and that's what everyone else is going to be building on while you are fucking around. So I still think he's an elite talent. So Etienne and Pacheco, I love them here in this late second. All right, Travis Kelce. Now he's a late second round pick. I think he Travis Kelce, he's like fucking my age now. So pretty much the only bright side is that the Chiefs, their best wide receiver, Rashee Rice, he got in some trouble. He might be suspended for 6 games, and Kelce can continue to be Patrick Mahomes' #1 target. So uh, he had flashes last year, and then he also looked like he was done for a good part of the year, and it was a mistake to draft him in the first round. So if you want to take the chance on him, I mean, he's a Hall of Fame tight end. I wouldn't fault you at all to take Travis Kelce here, but personally, I am going to look at Sam Laporta. This is a little early for him, but Sam Laporta, I think, is the tight end one. The Detroit Lions used the shit out of him. He and Amon-Ra St. Brown, they're the top guys. I think if you want to just lock in tight end this year, you take Laporta and you don't look back. Late second, early third, I think it's one of the safest picks in fantasy this year. Okay, Josh Allen, first quarterback off the board. Does he deserve to go there? Sure. It's either Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts. Last year, Mahomes was a disappointment, and Josh Allen lost Stephon Diggs, but they weren't truly clicking over the past 2 years. They had their moments, but Diggs has fallen off a little bit. So if you think that Josh Allen's going to continue to rush and you think he's going to click with his receivers, so in Buffalo now, they picked up Curtis Samuel. They picked up Keon Coleman from FSU. They have I forget the name of, there was some receiver that they had at the end of last year that he was like, I guess you could say he was a nobody, but Khalil Shakir, that's the name of the guy. Khalil Shakir. He's going to be the receiver there. And also, they have second-year tight end Dalton Kincaid, who's going to be like a top 5 tight end option this year based on projections. All right. Isaiah Pacheco finishes the second round. He showed that he could be an every down back last year. I think he's got a really crazy running style. I'd like to get him on my team this year. I think he's really good. He runs hard, and it's exactly what the Chiefs need. No nonsense. It's their first solid running back since Jamal Charles. Honestly, it's been a long ass time. Drake London is a hype pick, but I definitely think he deserves to go early because Drake London, I don't know if he's second or third year. Let me see. Don't know. All right. Well, Drake London. Now that Kirk Cousins went to the Falcons, Drake London is the biggest benefactor there. So if Drake London and Kirk Cousins click, then Drake London's going to be a easy top 10 wide receiver. Easy. Um, he's had a couple of flashes, but he's a very talented dude. Um, as an early third, he hasn't shown us elite talent yet, elite production. He's shown us that he's talented. He can make some crazy catches, but now he's got a quarterback that can give it to him. He has not had a quarterback yet, and that's why he's been crappy, but he's just projected to be awesome, and that's why he's an early third round pick. Achane, oh my God. So Achane is one of those guys that is going to make or break you. If he does anything like he did last year, then he's going to make you. But he also gets hurt all the time, so that might break you. So if you want to just take a flyer on him, take a shot, boom, all right, Jalen Hurts, whatever. Great quarterback. I'm gonna now that we're past the first 2 rounds, I'm gonna just kind of cut through these guys and try and give you like a one or two liner about them, and if I think they deserve to go here or not. So Jalen Hurts, you want to lock in a top 5 quarterback, take him in the third round. Mike Evans, people were wrong about him last year. He was going in the 5th and 6th round. He was ridiculous. He was a top 5 receiver for part of the year. They don't truly have a good quarterback situation over there, but he's just a deep ball magnet, and he's great. So Mike Evans, he's on the outside of his prime, but it doesn't fucking matter. All right, Mahomes. All right, so Mahomes, he's Mahomes. If you want to try and just get a guy that's super solid, but don't think he's going to be top two, but he's got the ceiling for top two, take Mahomes in the third round. He'll probably go earlier. All right, Diggs. I don't think he deserves to go here. He went to Houston where they are splitting it three ways with two other receivers that might be more talented than him at this age. So Diggs is a big risky pick, even at this price. I think he's great, and I know what he's done in the past. But I was sketchy on him last year, and he was bad last year. So now he's in a situation where he's maybe the third best receiver on the team. If you want to take him, fine. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think there's still guys that are the number one on their team right here, and that automatically makes him safer. Brandon Ayuk. It seems like there's some contract issues here. There's been some controversy if he's going to stay on the 49ers, but as of now, he's still a 49er. Uh, he's ridiculously talented receiver with a different skill set than Debo. He's like their deep threat, and he's just got a crazy depth of every target he catches. It's like I think he led the league last year, and like all of his targets are like 30 yards plus. He's just everything he catches is deep. He gets huge chunk yardage. Michael Pittman, okay, he flew up the boards here, but he doesn't get touchdowns. So if you want a guy that's for PPR, he's good because he's going to catch a bunch of passes a game for good yardage, but he's lacking in the touchdowns. Could they do more of that? Yeah, but they may not need to because they have a Russian quarterback. Okay, Nico Collins. That's why Stephon Diggs is a risky pick. Nico Collins was ridiculous last year. So, I mean, that kind of hurts Nico Collins, it hurts Diggs, and it hurts Tank Dell. So all three of these guys are risky because, I mean, even though it's CJ Stroud's offense and he's going to get a shitload of touchdowns, it's going to be split three ways. Um, so yeah, I mean, what he did last year, it's obvious that he deserves to go in this round. Okay, Josh Jacobs, he went from the Raiders to the Packers. That's a huge upgrade. He wasn't that impressive last year, but he's still one of the better running backs in football. I could see him going earlier than this, honestly. All these receivers are kind of questionable, but yeah, Josh Jacobs on a great team now. I'm not going to say a great team, but a team that's moving the fucking ball. All right. James Cook, last year he was like a third or fourth round pick, and or maybe even later. So James Cook is really talented, but he needs to catch a couple of balls each game. Sometimes it doesn't happen, and he doesn't always get touchdowns. Josh Allen wasn't looking at him in the red zone, but he was being used so much that he was like a really good PPR back as like your second running back or flex. He was really good. Um, Debo, I was out on Debo last year, and he was very, very good towards the end of the year. Um, yeah, they might use him again like that. I don't. He's one guy that I stay away from, and it probably hurts me, but I don't like him. Joe Mixon, I hate Joe Mixon. I don't ever take Joe fucking Mixon. No. Lamar Jackson, take your quarterback here. He's fine. Whatever. Rashad White, last year people thought he was going to suck. He actually wound up being really good because he caught a ton of passes on Tampa Bay. He's like a second or third year running back. So people thought he was going to suck, and he does. He has a very low yards per carry thing going on, but since he's catching so many balls in PPR, he's actually valuable. DJ Moore. All right, so DJ Moore finally gets a decent quarterback, maybe, and Caleb Williams, the first overall pick in the NFL draft, he's throwing to DJ Moore. So DJ Moore he's never had a good quarterback in his entire life. He's had whoever's on the fucking Panthers, and then Justin Fields. So now he's got Caleb Williams. If they can click, then DJ Moore deserves to go higher than this. This value is baked into his draft price. This is a good time to take him. Jalen Waddle, whatever. He's a Dolphin, so I'm sure we all like him, but I think he's disappointing at times. He could be really good. I don't know. DK Metcalf, Pete Carroll's gone. This is Geno Smith and DK Metcalf. Cool. I like DK Metcalf a lot. I think he's an interesting player. He seems like he's like a touchdown machine. Price is fair here. Alvin Kamara, I think he fell off. I think PPR values keep him alive, and I would not take him. CJ Stroud, he's a super fun pick, and I would take him at this price because I don't know how much of a difference there'll be between him and the other passing quarterbacks, but I mean, what he was doing last year was pretty nuts, and now he's got Diggs. So CJ Stroud, QB5, I think, yeah, if you want to take a fun pick, I would take this. Mark Andrews, he's hurt every other year or something. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I've never been a Mark Andrews guy. Now he used to have like a second round pick value. Now he's like back here in like the fourth or something. I don't know. Uh, Take him if you want. I don't know. Not my thing. Cooper Kupp, super old. There's some value at him going this late. Trey McBride, when he started playing last year as the tight end, he looked like the second best tight end. It was Laporta and McBride. Just they were going back and forth, having ridiculous games. Now there's Marvin Harrison Jr. on the Cardinals, so there's going to be some divide there. If you think that shit's going to continue, Trey McBride is an awesome pick. Malik Neighbors, okay, he was the second wide receiver taken in the NFL draft last year. Uh, he went to the Giants where nothing happens. So if you think there's going to be a connection there, you could take him here. But I don't like it. I don't want him. I'll do it next year. Devontae Smith, I think he's very good, and I think he's too far here. I think he deserves to go a little earlier. Um, he showed that he's not elite, but he's a very good wide receiver despite his height. Um, I could see him more as like a late third. Last year he was a early second round pick in like that Olave Waddle range. I think he showed that he deserves to be near there again. I don't know why he's fallen so far. Kenneth Walker is very flashy, but also disappointing at times. He has like a lot of negative yardage plays, but then he's also got breakaway plays. Um, there's another running back there that could fight with him and cause problems, and he also has some injury concerns. I think he's still a very intriguing player. He's kind of like a home run hitter kind of guy, and not like a guy that you could count on every week, but he'll out of nowhere have some big plays to win you leagues. So if you want to take him as like a flex running back two, fine. But he's that's why he's a running back going here. Dalton Kincaid, second year tight end. He looks like he's awesome. He could be one of the number one or the number two target in Buffalo, which would make him extremely valuable. I think I feel very good about this pick. Zay Flowers, he showed that last year that he's the best receiver on the Ravens, but the Ravens just like don't put up numbers in receiving. So I think he will continue to build on this, and I think he deserves to go earlier. I'm a big fan of Zay Flowers. I would take him. Anthony Richardson missed like 2/3 of the season with a shoulder injury, but before that, um, he looked like he was worth the late pick because there was some doubts like, oh, can this guy, even though he's super like talented and athletic, will he be a good NFL quarterback? And yeah, he looked like he was legit for a little while, and then he got hurt. So this is a good like high upside pick. If you take someone like Anthony Richardson, you're going to want to take a second quarterback relatively soon because if anything happens to this guy, you need to have a second plan B. George Kittle, tight end six. I don't like it. I think you wait on this guy after Dalton Kincaid. You just fucking wait. You wait. I don't think George Kittle will like randomly have a 2 touchdown game, but then he'll get you like 2, 3, 4 points, and then you're just like, I hate George Kittle, and then he gets hurt. All right, yeah. Don't take George Kittle. Aaron Jones went to Minnesota. Uh, that's a big surprise. So, I mean, he could be actually pretty solid, but with the Packers, he would like miss a bunch of games with hamstring injuries over and over and over again. But at this price, I think he's good. Tank Dell, and last year he looked like the most talented receiver on Houston, and now there's Tank Dell, Nico Collins, and Stephon Diggs. So that's going to be a thing. So I think if you want to take like a high upside wide receiver, I think for him to be the third Houston wide receiver to go off boards, this also makes him the most valuable. I think I would take. I mean, he's a smaller player, so and he got like his leg destroyed last year, but I think he's almost back. Kyle Pitts, He's been a fantasy enigma for ever since he's been in the league. Now he's got Kirk Cousins. Will that change things? Yeah, probably. George Pickens, he's a hothead retard like Antonio Brown, but he's a big play monster. If he does now, if Russell Wilson and him click, George Pickens should be like a late third round pick talent. He's a really talented big play guy, but he's also very stupid and hot headed and impulsive, just like all Steelers wide receivers. I would take him for sure because he's like a super fun pick and he's going to get you those 80-yard touchdowns out of nowhere. Joe Burrow, he killed my fantasy league last year. He's still Joe Burrow, but yeah, T. Higgins, they thought I think they franchise tagged him, so he's staying there. Some T. Higgins has a reputation of being questionable, and then he plays, and then he misses the entire game after one play or something. So uh, last year he had a couple of flashes where he was ridiculous. If Jamar Chase ever goes down, he truly shines. But yeah, he's like scary. Now we're in like this later chunk where everything is kind of shitty. Amari Cooper, he still got it, but he did really well with Flacco, and Deshaun Watson doesn't use him properly. Evan Ingram, good tight end. I like him more than Kittle. Ramondre Stevenson, he was a second round pick last year that disappointed everybody. Will he disappoint you again? Well, at least it won't be at the same price. DeAndre Swift went to Chicago. Uh, he's going to split with Khalil Herbert. He looked really good last year for a little while, and then he didn't. Keenan Allen, he's very old, and now he's on Chicago, along with who the hell's on Chicago? I just talked about it. DJ Moore and Rome Odunze, the rookie. So Keenan Allen is no longer going to be like the number one target guy on his team. He still might be, but it's not going to be like 11 catches, 100 yards, da 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 da. With Herbert. Now he's got a rookie quarterback and two other good receivers to compete with. All right, David Montgomery, very solid pick last year, and he's kind of going in the same spot. I'm surprised he's fallen so far, but he had multiple touchdown games several times last year. You can take him as like a second if you're going wide receiver heavy. Take this guy late. James Conner always hurt a little bit, but was actually super impressive last year. The Arizona Cardinals drafted Trey Benson from FSU, and he might start to factor in. And James Conner is exiting his career; he's almost done, but even he showed last year that he's ridiculous sometimes. So yeah, and now they have Marvin Harrison Jr. to stretch the field. James Conner, he always goes around this price. I think you take him if you're just like fishing for little value picks here for running back. Dak Prescott for one stretch of the season was like the number one or number two quarterback. There's some weird concerns about his contract. Yeah, I think he's very safe as like a late quarterback, but I would rather have him than Burrow, believe it or not. All right, Calvin Ridley, he got traded to the Titans, and this is a very good value pick in my opinion because last year he was like a third round pick and he was on the Jaguars. He was only there for 1 year. Um, he got a bad rap because there were a lot of like drop passes, but it's not true really if it was Trevor Lawrence's fault or his fault. But he's still in his prime. He's still an alpha wide receiver. He's going to compete with DeAndre Hopkins in Tennessee with their second year quarterback. But yeah, I mean, if you want to take a shot on this guy, this is one guy that you take here and he winds up paying off. So Calvin Ridley, if you want to, I don't know. I guess I have a soft spot for him because I know he's like supposed to be an elite talent. So yeah, the Titans have a decent year. It's going to be on his back. Terry McLaurin, he's been in this spot. Oh God, Terry McLaurin. Now that all right, so the I wanted to say the Redskins. What are they now? The Commanders. They drafted Jaden Daniels with the second overall pick, who's more of a rushing. He could rush and he could throw. Let me be honest with you. He's a guy that could bomb you. He's a guy that could rush. So Terry McLaurin, he could finally get some deep passes. We got to see how Jaden Daniels translate to the NFL. But if Jaden Daniels hits, Terry McLaurin is going to be a major value pick. Chris Godwin, whatever, he's older now, whatever. Zamir White, he's going to be the starting running back on the Raiders. Last year, he was like a freaking nobody, but when he got the job all to himself, he got things done. So this is like a guy that you take super late, and he might produce like a high end RB2, and you're just super happy with that. So this is like this is like every year people take Alexander Madison because they think he's going to be fine. This is what Zamir White did. All right, Christian Kirk. I think he's got the best. He deserves to go higher. He's got the best rapport with Trevor Lawrence, and he's not outside of his prime yet. Rashee Rice, look at this as like a stash pick, but yeah, he was the best receiver on KC last year. So if you want to take him, but he might miss 6 games. All right, Kyler Murray, whatever. He's got Marvin Harrison Jr. A lot of the analysts are very high on Kyler Murray last year, but I don't care. Najee Harris, um, he's splitting with Jaylen Warren. They got a better offensive coordinator now. I heard that Najee Harris lost a lot of weight. He's not a sexy pick, but yeah, I mean, he kind of gets it done in his own way. At this price, it's worth it. Njoku, I wouldn't touch him. Jonathan Brooks, first running back taken? No, 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 no. He would have been the first running back taken in this year's NFL draft, but he was dealing with like an ACL injury. Sure, he's on a shitty team, but if he was healthy, he would have been the first running back taken in this NFL draft. So this guy might have like a very good second half of the year. All right. It's approaching the point where it's not worth talking about these people. Jordan Love, he had like 8 amazing games last year, and they paid him. So Jordan Love is surrounded by a bunch of young wide receivers who look very good. If you want to take Jordan Love as like you take a quarterback flyer, ignore quarterback for several rounds, and then you just take Jordan Love, fine with me. I would do it. Jaden Reed is the biggest. Christian Watson. You thought he was going to be the star wide receiver in Green Bay. No, it was Jaden Reed. So if you believe in that Packers offense, you could take him here. I think he could go earlier. Jordan Addison, I think he can go earlier too. He had over 10 touchdowns last year, playing second fiddle on the Vikings with Kirk Cousins. Yeah, it's going to be Sam Darnold over there, but Jordan Addison is an elite wide receiver prospect. Yeah. Tony Pollard, he sucked last year. If you picked him, you were very sad. And I love Tony Pollard until then. Tony Pollard, he's splitting with Tajay Spears in Tennessee now. Yeah, he got traded from the Cowboys. He's now a Titan. He's trading with Tajay Spears, who I like a lot better than him right now, especially after he disappointed us all. Yeah, you could take him here if you really need to, but I would be picking up other people. All right. Jaylen Warren, uh, faster than Najee Harris. Everyone thinks he's better than Najee Harris, but they kind of split evenly, and it makes it very hard. If you want that headache, you could take him here. DeAndre Hopkins, he's older now, and now he's got Calvin Ridley on that team. That might help him. It might hurt him, but it's not going to be like I don't know if it's an offense where 2 wide receivers can thrive. But he deserves to go here. Jake Ferguson was a solid late round tight end last year. He was a guy that you could just plug in and he would get it done or get a touchdown semi often. I don't know. I liked him. I had tight end troubles last year and I picked him up off waivers and he was very good. So yeah, Jake Ferguson, that's a good late tight end play. I like him more than Njoku. Njoku was very good last year, but because of Flacco, not because of Deshaun Watson. Mostert, he was very good last year. I'm surprised he's this far. People really expect him to fall off a cliff if he's going this late. But yeah, everyone knows that he was like leading the league in touchdowns, and for some reason he's RB28. I think you could take him earlier. Nick Chubb, knee injury last year. He's probably rehabbing better than most people, even though I don't know how old he is. He's probably like 28. Um, yeah, Nick Chubb is a good stash pick. I don't think you'll see him play his best right out of the gate, but he's someone that could shine for you later on. I think it's a good pick if it's a little later. Rome Odunze, Chicago took him very early in the NFL draft. He was the Washington Huskies' best receiver with Michael Penis. Um, yeah, I mean, I really liked him. It was Marvin Harrison, and then Malik Neighbors, and then him. So Rome Odunze, uh, at this price, I think it's a good choice. Hollywood Brown went to KC. He's never truly shined. He's been on and off for his whole career. Xavier Worthy, that's the guy who ran like the fastest 40. He went to KC, so this guy is like a fun pick. He might be like whatever, people might think, oh, he's Tyreek Hill 2.0. Who knows? It's Patrick Mahomes. They're going to make something happen. Zach Moss, he's taken over in Cincinnati. Uh, now that Joe Mixon went to the Texans, but there's Zach Moss and Chase Brown. So these two guys, Zach Moss is not a runaway for the #1 starting job for the Bengals. So even though he had a very good last year, I think it'll be a timeshare, and it's still unknown if Chase Brown is the better pick. So think about that before you pick Zach Moss. Brock Bowers, for some reason the Raiders took him. He was the top tight end prospect in this year's NFL draft, but he's on the Raiders where nothing happens. Deontay Johnson is a baby bitch that was the Steelers' possession receiver for the past couple years, and they were tired of his attitude, so they traded him to the Panthers, where nothing's going to happen. Javonte Williams, man, 2 years ago he was like a very good prospect, and I don't know, don't take him here. I think if you want a Denver running back, pick Jaleel McLaughlin. Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler go right next to each other. I think Brian Robinson's the better pick. Woo! All right, I'm going to do 10 more players. Ladd McConkey. He went to the Chargers to be their new receiver after they trade away Keenan Allen. Ladd McConkey is kind of like built like Cooper Kupp, if you ask me anything, So he's like this little cool white dude, Ladd McConkey, and that name, oh my God, it's so fun. So right now on the Chargers, they have Joshua Palmer, Ladd McConkey, this guy Quentin Johnson, who was like a #1 wide receiver prospect that has not shown anything good. So if you want to take Ladd McConkey super late, I don't know if you want to take him right here, whatever. No, I wouldn't do it, but I might. I don't know. It's Herbert, so Herbert's going to make things happen. Christian Watson, he's got hamstring problems, but when he plays, he looks like he could be one of the best wide receivers, and he's a big play threat, but he's like always dealing with the hamstring injury. Brock Purdy at QB11. Brock Purdy is as safe as it gets for quarterbacks. He doesn't always have 3 or 4 touchdown games. He doesn't rush that often, but yeah, man, he does exactly what his team needs to win. Jackson Smith and Jigba. If Tyler Lockett falls off this year, which he very well might, Jackson Smith and Jigba would be the biggest benefactor. He was the top receiver taken last year, maybe second, I don't know. But with Metcalf, Lockett, and then Jigba was the third. But he had some good plays last year. If Lockett misses any time, and Jigba will step in and give you value. Keon Coleman was taken by the Buffalo Bills from FSU, who's a slow but gigantic receiver. He doesn't, I don't know. I don't know what it'll translate to, but yeah. Tyjae Spears. He had some very interesting plays for the Titans last year. He's going to be splitting with Pollard. I think I would take him before Pollard. Singletary went to the Giants. Gross. TJ Hawkinson. Don't forget that he blew out his knee last year. That's why he's going that late. Ezekiel Elliott goes back to Dallas. Will he be good? Probably, but not the same. I don't truly see anyone else that's worth talking about here. If you have any specific questions, you can ask me, and I'll just talk about what I think or whatever. But there's been some changes. I think you should just go and get the people you like. I think a couple offenses are going to continue to be awesome, but I'm not sure who it's going to go through. But just keep taking players that are in their prime. Keep taking players that, all running backs are going to be mostly in a timeshare except for like 5 or 6 of them. doesn't mean you should ignore running back. It means you should just get more of them later and or secure one very early. I don't know that um, strategy has changed over the years. Before we would be doing running back, and now it's just wide receiver, running back, receiver, or whatever works for you. But yeah, good luck to you guys. Please feel free to ask me any questions. I listen to podcasts every day on the way to work, so let me know. Peace.